Andy, Jamie, how's your Thursday?
Ah,
Hello.
great, Scott. Thank you. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Andy, what's up? Welcome to All Time Highs.
Yeah, how about that? It was kind of a funny route to get there today, but nonetheless,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
if you
all
look
the
at a dot graph, at the end of the day, man, yeah, we're at all-time highs. So
all the news outlets are like stocks roar to all-time highs. I'm like, no, they gapped there.
yeah, and pretty
Anyway,
much, yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, pretty much closed exactly where we opened the day, but makes it harder for day traders. But nonetheless, people with the 401ks are happy. I know that. We'll get into that. Thanks everybody for joining us today. This is Andy's Trading Studio. I'm joined with Jamie Hodge, and it is the 20th of June. And before we move into any of the content, we got to go over our disclaimer here. So uh, this is the Trading Studio, and anything that you hear or hear us say or anything we present to you is for educational purposes only. Okay, we're here to hopefully, provide some insight and share some of the knowledge that we've learned over the years, but nothing should be construed as investment advice. Okay, if that's what you are looking for, you need to go to a stockbroker or a RIA, somebody with a license. All right, before we move on, guys, bear with me, you regulars, and talk about our 5-star support, education, and training here. Uh, the first, people all the time grab this software and they open it up and they just like, whoa, what am I supposed to do with this? And it is because it's so powerful and there's so much it can do. But guys, you're going to find out once you spend some time with it, it's not difficult to learn to use at all. And that's our job, is to help you discover that. And we have many resources to do that. The Traders Room, Barry, is really good. I know it's a great place to go for traders to share ideas, but it's also a great place to go to learn more about the software. Barry, he really enjoys helping people after the first maybe couple hours of trading. When things slow down, he'll talk to you about the software and share his cloud links with you and just really help you in there. And we have webinars every day, Monday through Thursday at 5 Eastern time. You can see the combination of presenters over there on the left side of the page. Jamie Hodge, and Steve Gomez, and myself usually juggle 3 of the webinars. And then on Wednesday, we do have Dan Mirkin and Brad Williams. That would be our CEO and CTO. And that's a great place to go for Q&A and to see demos of features coming around the corner. And then tomorrow, guys, Friday support session. We had a guy send an email in saying, "Man, I wish these guys would spend some time showing us something and send it to Brad." Brad shared it with us. I'm thinking, wow, all they have to do is ask. We open it's a Q&A. You can come in there and ask us anything you want. And I tell you what, if anybody who's new to trading, I think it'd be very wise to get in there. Even when we don't have questions coming in about the software, you can come in and ask questions about trading. Okay, pick our brains. There's over 40 years of experience in there. So no, gosh, a lot more than that, probably 80 years. So when you got all 4 of us in there. So anyway, that's at 11 Eastern time. Get in there. It's a great place to come and learn more about trading and the software. And then we have TI University. Okay, when you subscribe, you get an invite to this, and you have to register. And then it's a 4-part course, Monday through Thursday. All starts at 12 Eastern time. And if you can't make it, these are all recorded on our YouTube channel. Just go to our playlist, and you will find TI University. And I can promise you this: you take these 4 classes, and then you come to that Friday support session one week. You're going to have a really good grasp of the software, and you're going to know how to, be dangerous with it. So anyway, let's move forward and talk about IB. Interactive Brokers, Brokers Plus is what we call it. It's our little module that you can hook up to IB, and you can auto trade if you like, or you can do what's called gray box trading. Let it get into the trade, get you into the trade, and you manage it. Or if you like, you can just use the cool interface to point and click on the chart and make trades from there. And not only that, you can manage your risk reward parameters from the strategies. It's really cool. It's hard for me to even describe. It's so cool. So learn more about that. Go to trade-ideas.com/beta. All right, agenda for today. Guys, this might be a short one. I got to hit the road for about 3.5 hours after I'm done with this. But I want to talk about the market. We're going to talk about Holly recap. Jamie will break out down a few trades for us. There were some good ones in there, even with the mess of a market that we had in the intraday. And then I'm going to revisit 2 strategies that I built. One, it was called, I shared it just maybe last week, I believe it was, bouncer score greater than 70. I'm going to show you some trades that's been coming through that. And one that's called, I'll take that, thank you. Another contrarian play. These are contrarian plays, and I want to help people because I know how difficult trading can be when you're just running around chasing momentum everywhere. It can be very different. And I want to I'm going to talk about people getting in some sort of a niche, whether it be playing contrarian plays. Nothing wrong with playing momentum, but you got to know what you're doing when it comes to that. So it's going to give you some different ideas. All right, let's back out and let's pull up the Jamie. Let me know if I have any questions. I'm still on my laptop. I will pop it out here just in case and take a quick gander.
We're good right now, Andy. You're good.
Okay, thanks, buddy. All right, perfect. All right, let's expand the SPYs. Well, before we do that, let's look at the intraday of the SPYs. This is what we had in the intraday. It's always good to look at that. I mean, we had a nice gap up to all-time highs today. And then basically, man, we're talking 11:15 here. So basically almost 3 hours of downward momentum, only to be reversed by a classic hammer right there. And then, boy, retraced the whole move, went back to highs briefly, only to pull back and put in a perfect little cross there, just a gnarly, doji. But nonetheless, this intraday action, it's very strange. I was looking around a lot of charts that we're not bouncing like the SPYs. So, let's just call it what it is. So it's an all-time high. We closed at an all-time high. Yeah, the intraday, wish we didn't have these big gaps to work with when you are day trading. I know what it feels like. It's always difficult to trade the big gaps, but nonetheless, wow. Once again, we're going to focus on the daily because that is the true picture of the market. And you can see what happened there, guys. Let me get rid of this right quick. And there was our all-time high right here, and we poked through it today, and then obviously we came back down and had to regain some momentum and go back through it. But here we are. Here we sit at all-time highs, and that's a classic little bottoming tail, which could signify there could be more strength behind this. When you have a rejection like that, I mean, a lot of people were probably thinking, oh, great, here's our triple top, But we already talked about there's no such thing as a triple top. So, like I said, there's no bearish case, and where we stop, nobody knows. People will try to, put Fibonacci over it and tell you where we're going to get. When you're at all-time highs on any stock or any average, nobody has any clue, where you're going to stop. This could be the high. We could get some macro news, and this could be the all-time high for a while. I'm going to sell off tomorrow, but boy, the likely scenario is maybe to push me forward for at least 2 or 3 days and see what happens, see what kind of steam we have behind this move, because the path of least resistance, man, we're going over the waterfall now. There's no resistance. We're rocking. The train left the station a long time ago, but it's really going hard now. So I'm not going to sit here and talk too much about the technicals, because when you're at all-time highs, there's really not a whole lot to talk about. You can talk about possibly retracing, you know, tomorrow. Okay, I'm not going to go there. Maybe pulling back to this 10. You guys all know those possible scenarios, but yeah, I'm not going to try to over analyze this at all. We're at all-time highs. We did it on good volume. Of course, I'm not sure most of the volume wasn't on the downside today, but doesn't matter, you know. We, you know, price pays, and we finished near highs, almost at highs. And let's take a look at the Qs and see if there's a different picture there. And what do we have here? We have Qs not at all-time highs. Of course, they were lagging the last several days, several weeks actually, behind the SPYs. So they still have some work to do. So maybe if there's any sort of analysis to be made for today, let's see maybe if the Qs tomorrow or maybe Monday, I don't know, run up against that and have issues and then roll over. That could be something that could cause the SPYs to slow down for sure. But yeah, the Qs are not there, and they, you know, much of the way they over the last 10 years, they've been leading the way. So lagging a little bit in the Qs, and I think all you have to do is take a look at some of the ones like Amazon and Apple, and you'll see that they're not at all-time highs either. Nowhere near it there in Apple, Facebook. So remember, the top 5 or 6 of these big boys make up probably about 40%. Okay, so when they're not participating, it's hard to get to all-time highs. Take a look at the diamonds real quick. And yep, they got it. Or did they? Take a little look here. We got a high of 269.28. Jamie, do you know this before I have to? 228. No, we got a little.
You talking
close.
about the high on the Dow?
Yeah, the high. Did the diamonds? Did we take that out in the Dow? I never look at this. Reason why.
Oh yeah, I got to go back a little further here. Here, let me
268.50, and we are at 260. No, so we didn't. We did not. Now we may have had a closing high because that's a red bar. So the close on this day was 267.95, and I think we beat it. Come on.
269.28 was that previous high, right?
Yeah, but I was seeing if we had a higher close. 268.08.
Nope. So we're not there yet.
I think.
Nope.
We did.
269.28 is the high I'm showing from back in 18.
Well, I know. Right, but correct. But I'm looking at the close of that day. So we did have a new. We had a new all-time closing high.
But you're
sorry.
Right.
We didn't
I was looking 267.95.
No
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it's official. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I think the Qs, IWM, let's take a look at that because we know that's been lagging. See if it's doing a little catch up today. And not that impressive. I mean, gosh, this one is really, look how far it's got to go. And boy, you think it would have had a little more juice in it today. Didn't finish anywhere near its highs. So this one is still kind of waddling in the mud, not really, you know, just not going anywhere. So we'll have to see if that can't get involved, that the SPYs can keep it up. But if you're just looking at the SPYs, there's not anything wrong with that.
Hey, well, Andy, maybe they'll just gap it to highs tomorrow. We'll see.
No, there you go. That's the easy way.
I got to tell you, I was
we joke
shocked.
about that.
I thought it. I was like, well, we're just going to gap our way to all-time highs, but I didn't expect it to happen last night. I expected at least 3, 4, 5 more sessions to get in there and throw some elbows, but no. So you know what? Hey, IWM could be up there at that rate in a couple of days, maybe by Monday or who knows, the close tomorrow. You never can tell. We'll see.
Yeah, well, if you know, it can be frustrating, I know, especially for day traders. You know, when you get from here to here, well, on very, very little intraday movement, you know, most of it is they're in gaps, and that can be frustrating. But nonetheless, it's the market. All right,
well, hey,
Jamie.
In my opinion, it's positive because, you know, I was thinking, well, maybe by the end of the summer, we're pecking at new highs and starting to trend up. Hey, looks like the party might get started a little early, and I've got no problem with that.
No, no. We'll see. I mean, really, I mean, I hate to say this, but uh, when the Fed has your back, like it has for the last 10 years, and I'm not saying that's the only reason we're going up. The economy is good, great, and all that now. But when they step in and say we're going to keep it going as long as we can, if they see weakness, what are they going to do? They're going to cut rate. When anytime you have that, I mean, I get to the point where it's a macro event's the only thing that's going to take us down. It really
Right,
is.
and it's odd because usually they're starting to tighten when markets get lofty, but not this time, right?
Yeah.
Not only not
Yeah.
changing, but talking about lowering to propel things higher. But anyway, it's good for us. It's good for people in the market. It's good for people like to trade. So hey, it's a
It
little
is.
like Christmas come early. So
Yeah.
yay.
But I agree. Unfortunately, I think in the long run, we're gonna pay the reaper. What's the word I'm looking for?
Pay the piper.
We're gonna reap what we're sowing. Pay the piper. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna have to pay the piper. There you go.
Well, who's Adam Schiff, one of the financial dudes, let's just call him that out there.
Yeah.
Talking about the next recession is going to be way worse than the next. Well, as long as the next boom is bigger than the previous boom, then yeah, things are in parity, right?
Yeah, I mean, he'll eventually be right, but he's been preaching it for 10 years. It's
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think it's going to have a bad ending at some point, but I don't know when. I have no idea.
Like everything in cycles, right? Everything in cycles.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Well, let's see. Yeah, you want to take it and go over some Holly?
I will.
2.0 wasn't that bad.
I'm kind of chuckling because earlier in the day there was a lot more risk on to talk about before we trended back up, and then things just kind of changed. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, does it? You think?
Well, I mean, there was just a lot of vacillation. When the market rallied, a lot of the longs that you thought might have gone up didn't, right?
Right.
And some of the shorts when the market was going down didn't work. So it was just a lot of things just weren't doing what you thought they would, and then some would. It was just kind of a strange thing.
It was.
In any case, the interesting thing is that 2.0 up here, $1.72 on 11 signals, full risk mode, right? And if we resort 2.0, which is this guy right here, by full risk mode, which I believe I've already done. Okay, there we go. Look at this. This is something that you don't see very often. Risk off mode, a penny. Risk on mode, 27 cents, because it got tagged after risk off got out of PFG here. Then it came down here and tagged the stop loss, right? So of course in that mode it stayed there, risk on 27, but full risk, you get this whole move here, 89 cents. So there's not a lot of traditional risk on to talk about, the difference between risk off, but this is just an interesting one you don't really see this type of action very often. So that's an interesting thing to point out here. Now, in this, of course, was the biggest winner of the lot here in 2.0. But there's just not really a whole lot of actually. My eyes are deceiving me here. I need to put something in there to space that out, okay? Because we've got risk off here in this Tibio. And matter of fact, I'm a little irritated, Andy, because I missed Tibio today, because I like it when Holly spits out the lower dollar stocks. She's been doing quite well with sometimes quarterback spits out low dollar stocks, but a lot of the times the Mighty Mouse, and I forget the name of the other small.
That was a good one.
Some of these lower dollar stocks have been really ripping these days. So I was a little irritated because I was so focused on other things. I would like to think, had I seen the signal, I would have been all over it, but just wasn't in the chair at the time. So great example of risk on versus risk off here, taking a little bit more risk. 6 cents versus 48, so 42 cents in between the spread there. And, my eyes are immediately drawn to that level of the fact that, we put in a high here and then just kind of went to sleep underneath it. Guess what? Till we come across this little green line here, boom, just bounces right off of it. And then once it's well above it, comes up here and flirts with this high again, and then Holly calls it right here. We're just teetering on the edge of that little range break there. So, I mean, it's really hard to get a bad price in that candle, right? And then it was pretty much just sit and wait. And this thing just kind of went sideways. I'm actually, let's see here, why did she pull the plug on Tibio? Nope, made it the whole time to exit, which is a little odd because usually when we see this type of activity here, that's when she's going to go reduce risk or profit save. But no, this one made the full time. So, you know, playing the risk on game here, pretty straightforward. Could have even used that break even stop, kept you in it all day, and just said, nope, I'm sitting in it. You know, at about that time, we were probably getting some nice upward draft as well. So, you know, perfect example of getting some of that risk on money today when Holly closes out for 6 cents just after this little consolidation period after the signal came. And a matter of fact, even keeping your eyes on this level, since it was so tame for so long, you're thinking to yourself, well, when this thing pops again, maybe I'll press it a little bit here into the close. That would have also been a nice play. So it's always nice when you get a nice signal and you get that core, you know, you just happen to get that pattern that you like on top of it with that basically statistical advantage to start the show. And then another opportunity to add to the position. I mean, a lot of good things about that Tibio trade. Oh, and by the way, I'm sure 1.59 finished doing 60% of normal volume. Of course, it was pretty common in today's market. You know, we even see the big boys today, the tracking ETFs finishing, of course, SPY finishing 50% above. That's big for the SPY. And of course, today, no big surprise there. So a lot of things were maintaining really decent volume today. But as I was stating earlier, it wasn't the easiest day to navigate. A lot of things that you thought were going to go down when the market was going down did not, and vice versa on the upside. But let's see, I'm perusing this one more time here. We do have a little bit of spread in here on RTRX. Of course, this pattern right here, little schizophrenic on that opening candle here. But needless to say, Holly calls it right here, 2020. On this one, we got 23 cents in the spread here between risk off and risk on. So, you know, hey, a little volatile. We're in the money, we're out of the money, we're back down to flat. You know, once you see yourself in the money, it's real hard to let this thing flirt with turning into a loser. I mean, we all grapple with that. But in this case, had you stuck it out and said, you know what, I think we're heading higher today. And by the way, compare count windows off the charts. But of course, the bigger the gap, you know, it's kind of hard to go, you know, and of course, what was the first move? It was down on the overall market once we broke that opening range. So, you know, 50-50 on this one. The only way you could have really stayed in this one would have been to adhere to that hard stop. And, you know, not so easy to do sometimes once you've been up and it comes back, but you would have been rewarded with this one. And it's a little hard to see here. I could expand this out a little bit more, but hey, the 10 period was doing its job on this one as well. So once again, something to always keep in your arsenal, your mental arsenal. Hey, if you're getting a little shaky on a trade, hey, how's it acting around this 10 period? And a lot of the times that can, you know, give us the mental fortitude to stay in something when we're kind of itching to hit that cash button.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we do have at least one example from good old Neo here in the form of Zyme here. You know, kind of floppy, you know, kind of back and forth on this one, but Holly feeds a great entry signal here. We get the sideways movement, and of course, we can take a look at why she got out of this one. We did get the sideways action, and she did execute reduced risk. Took a little 7-cent hickey right here. You know, this is the entry line right here. She probably got out down there on a wick. Hey, been there, done that before. And then we just kind of cruise sideways for the remainder of the day. Now this one does get a little bleedy. You know, notice how this one is not above the entry signal. So, you know, hey, we're up, we're down, we're flat, all in this area right here. You really had to stick this one out until the end of the day. And if you're using that 10 period as a guide, you know, you might have pulled the plug down here. You know, flip a coin, man. You know, it depends. When you're playing the 10 period, a lot of the times you got to stick to it, just like any other rule. Once you get that first close on a 15-minute candle below it, it's probably a pretty good time to get out. And then, of course, sometimes they're going to go back up. But hey, nature of the beast. We've all been there. It'll happen many times again in the future, and that's just the nature of trading on the intraday time frame. So that's about all the risk-on opportunity that we had out of the Hollies today, Andy. But not a bad performance considering the nature. And what do we come in at? 19, 28 trades total. So up a little over a buck and change. But after the Fed day the other day, and then today, Holly, doing well in those types of markets and holding her own, not knocking it out of the park. But boy, we all know what might happen if we maintain these levels and start trending higher. It's going to be very interesting. So I know you got to get on the road, so let me kick it back over to you.
All right.
Do your thing.
All right. And Juan had a question there. Let me pop out that question panel. He mentioned, let me go ahead and get this real quick. One of the things I like to do is trade options in SPY, SPX, or Apple. Is there any way I can use OddsMaker to find the daily pattern that is profitable for, let's say, small moves in the stock market that actually turn into significant profits? In weekly, I gotta span my box here, hold on. Man, I can't, right, Jamie, can you read the rest of that? Let's see, oh, here we go.
We're talking about
actually turn into weekly options. Okay, so yeah, weekly options. Yeah, you know what? You can definitely use the OddsMaker one. I mean, all you're basically doing is building an alert, okay, and building your parameters in there. And of course, you can have it to follow anything that you want to. So as long as it's an ETF, we don't track indices and things like that. But SPYs and Apples and all that, you can do a watch list. And point the alert to that watch list. And that's going to be a tough one. I think I would use a lot of fading strategies because you get a lot of market action. Let's just pull up the SPYs real quick. And when you get a lot of when you get a lot of gaps, I noticed you'll go to lows, and then what will happen is it'll retrace, go to highs like you did right here, and it'll retrace. So if I was doing something like that, I would probably, of course, you're doing weekly options, so I'd stick with the trend and just use a fading strategy. In other words, when the SPYs do go to low, maybe that's when you're buying, so I would work with something like that, but you can definitely use the OddsMaker to track all that for sure and build yourself a nice alert.
Hey, and Andy, real quick here.
All right.
I was just going to say, Andrea, if I'm pronouncing that name properly, interested in swing trading Holly, I'm going to drop a link in the chat area for you. It's one of our buddies here at Trade Ideas. Andy, I'll just drop the link for Sean in there, who showcases how he uses Holly for swing trading. And that would be a great place for anybody that's interested in using Holly swing trade signals. It'll be our buddy Sean McLaughlin. So I'll drop his Twitter handle in the chat area for you.
All right, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, and one last thing I want to elaborate on this. It's very odd to see 3 different P&Ls on this thing. Usually the only way you can get a difference between risk on and risk off is if there's a stop hit, like you see in this PAM, where the stop was hit and it's the same in risk off and risk on, and then it bounces back and full risk is a lot higher. But in this case, she actually got out for reduced risk, so that locked in the loss there on risk off at $89. But then when the stop does hit on risk on, we lock it and do not continue it anymore. So it's only full risk that continues to count on a stop out. So this AXAN, you can see it was barely stopped out right here. So it locked in the profit on risk on, which was a negative 200 in my case. And then look at that. So full risk ended up being a great trade if you can stomach all this. It's just the nature of the market, sometimes, but it's going to be interesting to see because full risk will continue to count it too as it goes against you. So you can see down here, 296. Okay. So anyway, it's going to be interesting over time to see if full risk, Jamie, beats the other guys.
Sure will.
All right. Yeah, I talked last week. Let me just go ahead and pull these up real quick. This is the bouncers, okay? And what this is, it's a contrarian play. And what I want to do, guys, and I mentioned this last week, and I'm going to mention it again. Actually, I want to pull up the, since this is going to be more for day trading, let me expand my 15-minute chart here, get a couple of days in here. And once again, I day traded for 17 years. Okay, I made a living, and I know how difficult it can be, and I know when the market's open, everybody's eyes are everywhere, looking for momentum, looking for that one. It's going to, run, $3 or $4, and it's very hard. It's very hard to find those right trades, and I just don't want everybody to think that's the only style of trading is momentum. You can have more of a contrarian approach. Okay, and I showed you bouncers with score above 70 last week. And also we're going to take another visit to I'll Take That Thank You. This is one I created probably about 4 or 5 months ago. Now they're more discretionary. You can auto trade these, but I think they're more just kind of looking at with the naked eye, and I'll give you some examples here showing up. But what I love when you're doing a contrarian play is when you're wrong, okay, remember you're buying the stock on a pullback, a deep pullback. In many cases, when you're wrong, your risk should be so limited, okay, because the stock's already sold off some. It's in the lower end of its range, okay. You're anticipating it to bounce, and so when it does not do what you expect it to do, you get out. You simply get out. But your reward can be a lot bigger. So a lot of times in this case, and even on a day trade, you can get like a 3-to-1 reward, risk reward. So let me show you bouncers today, and real quickly, this is very simple. It's a configuration. I'll share this again for anybody that may not have it. Excuse me, I'm on a country internet here. My father-in-law's, it's not working all that great. So pretty simple, guys. Looking for stocks between 20 to basically $100. Position in today's range need to be, at the previous day's range needs to be below the low, up to 4%, or it can only be, 0.25 above. Yeah, so basically it's at yesterday's lows or below it. All right, so this is definitely a contrarian play. Stock composite rating has to be above 70, so it has to have a pretty decent score. And I just put these time of days in here because for some reason with this alert, you get after hours alert, but that's all there is to it. And the signal is crossed above the resistance. So this one is looking more of a stock that has fallen through yesterday's low, but now it's crossing. So you're not catching a falling knife. You're letting it kind of consolidate and then bust out of this resistance level. So today, only one stock. This is the only stock that came through there today. And let's take a look at it. It was Citigroup, big cap. And there's your signal right there, and what a beauty it was. Okay, so if you're limiting yourself to 1 or 2, 3 alerts where you're not all over the place looking for momentum, looking for, first of all, you're going to catch it because you're only looking at a few alerts and you're not all over the place. All it takes is one trade, and this was yesterday, but let's take a look at now this was today. Let's take a look at yesterday real quick. Now, I do know that there was FOMC meeting or Fed day yesterday, and the Fed announcement on interest rates. So, but we'll take a look at the spiders. It was actually pretty sloppy yesterday. Here's the spiders. We had some action back and forth. Didn't move a whole lot. So when you see some of these trades, I don't want you to think, oh, great, well, you just caught the Fed rate. Well, it was pretty sloppy, and you can see it did not shoot up, 2 or 3%. So this is yesterday. Let's take a look at some of these. Here's our first one about an hour after the market opened. Bungie right here. Look at that. You had the drive down, and then you got the signal right here. Look at the alpha you had after that. CL, 1134. This is 2 hours later. You got your signal right here. All right. Nowhere near the low of the day. I mean, the signal, it may have fallen down 10 cents, maybe not even that, 7 or 8 cents. And then, of course, you got a nice move. Feds may have helped that, but like I said, this move is much better than what you saw in the now, a lot of these, you're going to see some great moves. Now, granted, it was at the Fed dates. I mean, 1 o'clock, this is when the Fed came out, but still, you had some beautiful moves. Look at these, Jamie. They're crazy.
Yes, they are.
But the point I'm making, I think if you were just playing this yesterday, you would have made a killing. And, well, we're getting late later on in the day, but they just go on and on, but that one was pretty sloppy. But anyway, guys, I want you guys, and I will share it with you before I leave again. I'll share it with you again. But I definitely wanted to bring to your attention that there's more ways, you know, to make money in the market. Don't feel like you have to, you know, be a momentum trader. You have to try to, you know, time that pullback on a stock that's been ripping, you know, perfectly, and then let it go again. There's other ways to trade, because I've seen these momentum trades that come back on. Well, just take a look at one that came through here today. This is the kind of stuff that you will see. Well, I'll just trust me, it's in there. But this TIGR came ripping through my extreme volume high-low pro today, and just doing huge volume, boom. And if you're trying to buy a pullback here, you know, it just, look at that thing, man. It just bled the whole rest of the day after, you know, attempting a kind of a breakout to a multi-week high here, and just, gosh, you know, that's the kind of stuff that a lot of times when you're chasing, here's run. Same thing today, you know, looking great on the daily. Wow, look at that breakout, and then you're chasing it, and then where you buying it. So it can be different, very difficult chasing momentum. So sometimes, guys, if you have a good contrarian strategy, it can pay. I'm going to show you another one here called "I'll Take That, Thank You." Now, I really love this, and this can be great for swing trading as well. And let me tell you what I did when I built this, okay? I looked for stocks, okay? First of all, I'm always thinking in my head what I'm looking for. I wanted to find stocks that had a big move, let's say over the last 20 days. It's had a big move, but now it's coming back and it's hitting its 10-period moving average, okay? Because I know buyers are more likely are looking to pick that up, you know, at that 10-period moving average. The way I did that was I just used change in 20 days, 10%, okay? So over the last 20 days, the stock has to be up 10%. Today, it has to be down 1% on the day for it to come through. And then, since we don't have a 10 period, we have an 8 period, I had to do kind of a workaround here. I used a max of 0, and so this is really gonna probably start signaling in between the 8 and the 10 period in most cases. Usually on a momentum stock, your 8's going to be above your 10 period. So the way I have this set up here, you should be getting the signal probably right above the 10 period. All right, let's look at some that came through today. Now, I think we had a lot of them. As a matter of fact, let me see if I got the right one here. Okay, just a few. Remember, the stock has to be down 1%. We had a huge gap up today, so not too many stocks were coming through. This one, first one that came through at 9:44 this morning was right here. You can see on the daily, it was running right into its 10 period. Now, this one, you know, didn't really work. You got a little bit of a move here after your entry, but you know, not one that I'd be real proud of. But if I took this signal, and I got that, and then we came back and we traced, it may have been right here, but once it took out this low right here, I'm out. This is what I'm saying. When you're wrong, you get out quickly on these because you are catching, you know, you're trying a contrarian, okay? It's already sold off probably 1.5%, so you're not looking for it to go further down. You're looking for an immediate bounce. This one was actually a good one today, even though, okay, it didn't finish all that great, but I want to show you what happened here. This is one. Look at this chart on the daily. Nice move over the last 20 days, and all of a sudden it gets rammed down at the open here and signals right there. And Steve actually caught this today. But and boom. I mean, it came back, but look at the alpha that you got. I mean, 37.71, and it went as high as 38.63, so almost $1 to be made, you know, if you're scalping. And not only that, look right here, you got it a second time if you wanted to. Check that out, Jamie. It came again right here, signaled again. So man, yeah, if you missed it, you could have got it on this one. So
yeah, Steve did catch that one. That was on a manual entry too, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Now these are late in the day. These are, you know, I don't know if I'd be taking them this late in the day. These are, no, once you get in the last 30 minutes, I wouldn't even pay attention to these. Maybe one to watch tomorrow because it is sitting on its fast line, see what happens there. Same thing with this TGS. It came out 1 minute before the bell, just above it. You know, may want to watch it there. But I want to show you yesterday on this one, when we didn't have such a huge gap up. First one right off the bell, Newmont gold. We know gold has been strong. Okay, we got the signal yesterday right at the open, and you can see bounced, never got anywhere near the low again, and pretty much an all-day, you know, trade if you're so inclined. Now this one I don't think worked. Yeah, well this one went off real quick. Now, even though it didn't work, for an hour later, it got out, but look at that. You still would have been able to catch, you know, a nice little probably buck move right there from the low. But Roku was a beauty, and we know how strong this one is. We know this one has been on the top of the comp score a lot lately. And look at this one right here. I think it's right on this low of this candle right here. See, that's the kind of stuff. Those are great contrarian moves, and there it is. You can see that came down here. Promise you had time to get in it, okay, because it came through 3 times. You got the first one at 84, okay. The low of that candle was 73, so you would have plenty, could probably even gotten that lower. So, and then all day long, beautiful trade. Now I don't know about these rest of them. Viv, I'm not sure what this is, a Brazilian stock, and it still would have worked for a little bit. Lomo, this was setting up. Maybe one to watch. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna set me an alert right there.
Now, Andy, see, you got the wheels turning now. You know, obviously we all know what the daily looks like on Roku, big and strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we archive additional names or symbols that exhibit that pattern and then feed them into a custom list for that alert, things might get interesting.
Yep, absolutely. Hey guys, you know, look at today. Look at today in Roku. I mean, and you see these a lot. A lot of these companies that lead the way, and I could pull up a dozen of these real easy, where they're on top of the comp score. Everything's great about the company, but sellers just use today to take advantage, you know, of the action. And honestly, guys, I've been seeing this kind of price action all day. It doesn't matter, no matter what the market does, they just sell all day. I was watching X today, and look at this thing, just horrible. I mean, look at this all day long. And I don't know if it's just a big seller getting out, maybe a big fund, for whatever reason, algos playing, I have no idea, but I see this a lot where stocks will do this all day long, even though the market bounced and went to highs like this, and you're in X, you're thinking, you're screaming, why isn't this? Don't argue with it. I'm seeing more and more of this. It happened in Cisco the other day, and on this day right here, the market was actually, it was one of those doji days in the market, was basically not doing anything. This thing sold off the next day. The next morning you have a gap and go, and 2 days later, you know, it's back screaming high again. Technicals, you know, I hate to say a lot of these books you can throw in the garbage. You know, usually when you have a move like this, close on lows, boy, that's a sign of things to come to the downside. They just don't hold as much water as they used to, Jamie. It's just you can still look at charts, you know, and moving averages, but and you know, as far as, looking at candles and trying to make a determination of what's going to happen going forward, it's getting more and more difficult. But nonetheless, it's the market we have. But the point I wanted to make, guys, is, you know, if the moves don't happen quick, if you're looking, let's say you're in X today, and you're looking down here and you're saying, wow, it's going to bounce off the 50 at yesterday's low. We got some, you know, nice support there, 50-day moving average. If you get it and you're in it and it doesn't work, just get out quickly. It's not going to happen, especially when you start getting a bounce in the market and it's still, you know, just, I don't know how many, you know, you can get just tied up in those things and just drive you crazy. All right. But Haas, now this is one from yesterday that was kind of interesting. All right, you can see it right here on the daily. Okay, well, the alert comes out right here. Okay, so I'm gonna, with some of these, what I would like to do is play them with maybe half size, because some cases you just feel, you'll feel it. It's got to be a gut feeling, and whether you want to jump in, you know, right at the bat. But this one has a beautiful setup once it finally put in this kind of little doji right here, this little cross, and then you had a beautiful move from there. But so you're kind of, when you're trying to catch these falling knives like this, sometimes they're going to bounce quickly like Roku did. Other times they may bleed off a little forward, you know, a little further, try to take out some more levels, whatever reason. But it's, you know, a lot of that just gut feeling. And so a lot of times what I'll do if I'm playing these is take, you know, half size, even maybe a quarter size. You can always add to your position. So let me go ahead and share these for somebody who may not have them. They can be great alerts, and I'm going to share them both with you. I've shared this, probably most people have them, but I know there's a few in here that don't. I'm going to drop them in the chat window. Let me expand this out so I can get in here and do that. First, I'll put in their bouncers. And there it is. There you go. Now I'll put in there the, I'll take that. Now, I did optimize this, and I'll give you both of them. I'm going to put, I'll take that. This is the base one coming right here. Let me just do this. There you go. This is the base one. And then this one is optimize. I'm going to take that version 2. It's only optimized on price, I believe. Price, maybe price and time, but nothing else.
Yeah, and Andy.
All right, guys, they're all. Go ahead.
I was just looking at the questions panel there. So I think you dropped both of those are in the chat window now for one, but he was talking, you know, I'm just looking at his last comment there. Don't know how to put.
Okay, let me pull it.
Anyway, I don't know exactly what that means, but maybe he could elaborate before we're done here.
Yeah, Juan, they're both in the chat window. Now you have to have the software. Okay, he says he got it. Okay, great.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that segment. You know, it's just a way where you can kind of cut down all the stuff you're looking at, and don't feel like, especially if you're day trading, you know, that you always have to be, you know, finding something, especially in the first hour. You know, a lot of these things, opportunities will come through a little bit later in the day, as you saw there. Yeah, give it a shot. If you're looking for a niche, you know, try something a little bit different. All right, I think I'm going to bring Scott in here so I can get on the road. Scott, if you want to come in and walk us out, you guys hang on. He'll share a discount code with you.
Yeah, sounds good. So moving on, we have a new ebook. You're going to want to check it out if you don't have it already. It's actually 3 books. Each one has 2 chapters. You can get them all at trade-ideas.com/setup. Both Jamie and Andy contributed chapters, so do check it out. It's got some great advice about swing trading, active investing, how to manage range breaks and pullbacks. Good stuff, and it's free. Go to that page to get it. There's a podcast that we release weekly. There should be another one out by tomorrow if I get the raw file on time. And you can just search for Trade Ideas Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and add it as a subscription. Check out some of the back episodes that have interviews with special guests. You can find those by scrolling through the archives. We've got a code that's good this month for the rest of the month. There's not too many days left, but until July. So summertime is the code. It saves 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. Standard subscribers, if you want premium, you can also use that to do the upgrade. Just go to our homepage, click on login in the upper right, log into your account, and then select change my subscription from the right-hand side. Use that code and save. If you have any questions, email us info@trade-ideas.com. Follow us on Facebook at handle is Trade Ideas Pro. You can follow Jamie on Twitter at QuantBot. We also got @Trade Ideas, and @Today Trader is Steve Gomez. We're going to have this recording up later on tonight or tomorrow, and you get a email reminder tomorrow from GoToWebinar with a link to the playlist on how to find it. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Jamie. Have a good one.
See everybody tomorrow.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. See you tomorrow.